Matthias, thank you so much for joining me today. Many founders struggle with the invisible side of entrepreneurship, which is mental load and overburn and all these things. You've built multiple companies, burned out. Then after you burned out several times, then you build a framework to avoid repeating that. Let's make a quick background first of your journey, and then we do like a deep dive on mental toughness, what frameworks do you use, and so on.
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here, and I think it's a very important topic for all the founders out there because it's supported by the data as well. 70% of the entrepreneurs are affected with the burnout already, or they are into it, or they're gonna be in burnout. So that's why it's such an important topic. So thanks for raising that.
Sure.
So my name is Matthias. I'm originally from Hungary. I started my entrepreneurship journey in a very young age in sales. So I used to work for a Hungarian bank on a sales side, but I was always on a commission side. So I call it as an early entrepreneurship. And honestly, I believe sales is a really good start if you would like to become an entrepreneur, because throughout your career, you have to sell things anyway.
You need to sell to yourself first of all, then
Exactly.
to your team, to your customers, to your investors. You need to always be selling, basically.
To the market, to your colleagues, because even as a leader, you have to sell the task to the team.
Correct.
And my first kind of interesting result as an entrepreneur started back in 2015. So after the sales role, I moved to the private banking, and after the private banking, I decided to go abroad. I had unfortunately a family tragedy, which kind of pushed me out from my comfort zone, and I stepped back on my career ladder. Because back then I didn't speak English, nothing, like basically zero. I never learned English in the school. So that was the first time when I said that the country where I'm living, it might be offer less opportunities than my goals. So I have a kind of decision to decide if I would like to take the opportunities or if I will choose the right market, where I can achieve those goals. So even if I had to step back a little bit, today, if I look back, I think it was one of the best decisions in my life. So it was a very tough 3 or 4 years when I used to lead as a sales director, a company, private banking company in Hungary, and then I was kind of washing dishes and being a security guy because of my martial art background. This is not something which very motivational, but I knew
the transition from security guy to entrepreneur.
Yeah, because I didn't speak English. So even if I was a sales director abroad, no one really cares if you cannot express yourself. So I knew it was a necessary step back, and I think it was a good investment. However, long story short, that my first entrepreneur success started in Malta back in 2015. From my previous clients at the private banking, I was able to raise for my real estate group of companies 6 million euros in 2 steps. So 3 million euros in the first step and another 3 million in the second step. It was a long way to get there. After I was not speaking English and being a security guy, so there is a lot of gap in between. But it would be a very, very long story, and I don't want to make the audience bored. So I raised the money, and we had a real estate group of companies, which was I was inspired by Richard Branson's strategy. So I used one brand name, and I had the four subsidiaries under the same name. We had one real estate agency, construction, development, and property management in the same time, and I was the CEO and the founder of the holding. So I built up the company from scratch. Back then, I was already I had a better English than previously.
In the real estate company, you bought rental properties?
Yes. Yeah. So in the
long-term
real
rentals or vacation rentals?
Both. So basically, at the real estate agency, we had rentals, commercial, and also residential for rental and for sale as well. We also developed our own properties.
Okay.
And we also had a small boutique hotel with 25 rooms in St. Julian, Malta. So it was a one-stop shop with different subsidiaries. We also had third-party deals, of course, but the brand tried to support each other to make sure, we can make the best out of it. So it was a very intense 5 years from my career. After 3.5 years, I did the management buyout and I became the main shareholder of the group. I sold the real estate asset back to the investors, including my shares, of course. And I took over the operational companies. And after that, in 2019, just before COVID, I sold my real estate agency to a well-known franchise on the island. So they kind of bought my company. It was not a huge financial success, but it was a very intense personal MBA of mine, in a way, because I was 26 when I raised the first round. So I was very kind of young. And that was the first kind of turning point in my career, because after the exit, I realized that I'm in the burnout. And it was a huge burnout. It took me 2 years to basically recover.
Wow. What did the burnout look like for you? So what were some of the symptoms, warning signs, or what
That's
pushed
the
you over
tricky
the
part.
edge, basically?
That's the tricky part. It's not visible.
Mhm.
And when you are running 5 companies in the same time, and you feel like this is normal to be tired, or you have to push, because you have a lot of responsibilities to the investors, to the market, to your colleagues. It was always in my head that on the top, I had around 120 employees in the total group.
Mhm.
I was like 120 families are eating from my performance. So I cannot, rest, which was a very wrong thought process. So it ended up with a huge burnout. And that was the first turning point after I started to come out from the burnout, when I promised 2 things to myself. First of all, I'm coming from a very humble background back in Hungary, in the poorest part of the country,
Mhm.
where I learned that if you are able to escape from such an environment, that you also have responsibility to help others.
Yeah.
And in my term, back then, financially, I was successful. But my soul was still empty. So I said, okay, it's good to chase the money and build companies like that. But in the future, if I can change one thing, that I would like to also deliver value with my business to the broader society.
Mhm.
That was one kind of promise. And the second one was that I don't want to neglect my health again. It just simply doesn't make sense, even from a return on investment perspective, to reinvest half of your exit money to your health.
True.
So it's very, very, even if you are very number driven.
You're racing the freedom, like the money and whatever, but you burn out and then you end up spending that money to recover the
And you
health
can
that you
recover the
destroyed during
money.
the period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll be the most important, that you can always recover the money.
Mm,
But I cannot recover the 2 years from my life what I lost.
that's
So
true.
that was a big lesson for me. So I said, I don't want to do it again. So I started to search that what are the existing frameworks out there to support my kind of new idea. And this is how I find the term social business and social entrepreneurship. So I really went deep into that topic. I did my own research on social business and social entrepreneurship. I wrote my MBA thesis on social business and social entrepreneurship, which was an interesting journey for me because, of course, I managed the MBA in English. So before I didn't even speak any English, and now I have my MBA, which is a kind of weird. And I decided to travel to India, and I spent there 2.5 months, because my thesis was that if I'm not experiencing what it's being in that environment where you really have social issues, and if I'm not gonna feel it, and if I'm not gonna smell it, I'm not gonna be able to solve it. So I traveled there. I spent there 2.5 months. So the total research was a kind of 8 or 7 months together. And my research ended up with a question, unfortunately, after 6 or 8 months of research, which was the following: that what's the guarantee if I'm going to build a social business or social entrepreneurship in the future, that I'm not going to end it up with the same burnout? Because operationally, strategically, social businesses are exactly built on the same way as traditional businesses.
Yeah.
So I was missing the health element. So I started to search that how I can implement health as a KPI into my strategy, my company operation, and in my life in general, because I don't want to be in the same situation. And I didn't find any, so I decided to build one. That's basically the story behind our 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀 Ventures studio, where we are trying to combine these 3 pillars, which is the profit, because we are an entrepreneur and it's important vehicle. Make sure our product and services and company structure also looked at it from a social impact perspective, and also the health is implemented into our strategy as a KPI. So that's my kind of longer background. Sorry for keep
No,
you long.
it's perfect. So basically, you did like the Steve Jobs story. You burned out. You went to India to find a little bit of peace, or how to manage this kind of burnout. Now, can you elaborate a little bit more in the framework that you have developed on how you put health to your KPIs in business, in life, and everywhere?
Sure. It's funny you brought up Steve Jobs. I don't have any kind of thoughts that I'm on the same level or I will be one day, but you never know. But I was in the same ashram in India,
Oh, okay.
where Steve Jobs went. I didn't know that. So just the guys told me that, Steve Jobs was here as well, searching for the same kind of meaning that you are trying to. So yes, first of all, the most important that we are talking about a framework. So it's not a one thing. There are several things which needs to be in the right place. And that's why I call it holistic operation method, because there is a social business, and I call my business holistic business, because I'm implementing the health as a KPI. The first thing what I did, that I realized the entrepreneurship is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So I shortened my working hours from 8 to 6. And I add 2 hours compulsory health activity into my to-do list.
Okay.
So I'm not treating exercise and mental exercises, meditation, breathing, and all of these things as a thing outside of my business. It's actually a business task, which is important as
So you've put that
checking your
as a
P&L.
working hour.
Yes.
So instead of 8 hours of work, you do 6
Yes.
hours of work and 2 hours of workout. So it's still like a work to you, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Because if 8 or if 6 hours is not enough for you to manage your daily operation, that means your system and your structure is not set up properly. And I also have 45-minute sessions. And after 45 minutes, I keep 15 minutes break. I go out. I need a little bit of fresh air, etc. So usually in the morning, I start with my mental exercises, breathing, meditation, mobility, a little bit of kind of yoga sort of stuff. You can call it stretching, especially in the Western world. They like to call it stretching. End of the day, it's yoga, is the same. This is how I start the day. After I do my exercise, I usually go 3 or 4 times doing strength training. Once or twice a week, I do zone 2 cardio. And once a week, VO2 max, like sprinting or going on an air bike or something like that. So that's my exercise KPI on a weekly basis. After that, as usually between 10 and 12 in the morning, I have my flow session. Flow session means that I book 2 hours, I switch off my phone, and I have the
Before,
most
right?
difficult tasks to handle.
That was my question, because you said that you work in 45 minutes intervals and then you make a pause just to relax a little bit. But when you are in deep work, for example, and pausing, you need like I don't think I think it's scientifically proven. I'm not 100% sure, but you need around 20 minutes to get back into that same work level that you were prior to interrupting it. So how do you manage that? But you said that you block 2 hours without a stop in this deep work session,
Yes.
correct?
2 or sometimes 3, depends if I have exercised that day or not.
Mm-hmm.
So usually that's the most valuable value creation time in my business operation. And I tried also that I will stop in between, and you are right, it didn't work out to me well, because I was losing my focus and
Yeah,
things like that. So, and in the afternoon I have my meetings. You know, we also have US team members, so usually I have meetings in the afternoon. And that's the a time where I have the 45-minute sessions. So
I
the
see.
team knows that in 45 minutes we have to finish. Either I will stand up and I will go out and I will come back, but
Will
I
that
need that.
happen during this podcast?
No, I already, make sure, we have the right time to do that. But to be honest with you, that's the right thing to do, because you
Mm,
need a little bit of flow to your body and to your hormones and everything else. So that's my kind of typical framework where I treat health and mental health exercises as a business KPI.
mhm. And what is your ROI on this? How do you measure that as well?
That's something what we try to figure it out, because I mentioned this whole is business thing. This is not a product for me, and I don't want to create a product out of this.
Hmm.
It's a new framework what I'm trying to research and try in the next 2 to 3 years. And we are measuring all the inputs with different variables and data and things like that. And my goal is to make it open source after a couple of years of operation like this, and then it would be more appropriate to answer this question, because we don't have the kind of measurement, uh, uh, because there are several measurements what we are trying,
Mm.
even stress level. I'm using, I don't know if I can mention a brand, but
Yeah,
it's a very
feel free.
well-known Whoop really helped me a
Yeah.
lot
So
to
what are some of the tech that you have included in this? For example, you mentioned Whoop now, but what else? How do you measure all these
Garmin.
things?
Garmin and Whoop, this is the two main things what I'm using, and it's easy to kind of get it for
Hmm.
mostly all of us. This combination helped me the most, because sleep tracking was extremely important for me. And actually, Whoop is one of the reasons why we moved back from one city to a smaller town, because I've noticed my data, and my sleep quality was 40% worse, 40%
Wow.
worse than in a small town where I am today. So I use usually Whoop and Garmin, because of Garmin is measures my exercise better than Whoop. So Whoop is more for stress level, stress management, and also sleeping, sleep tracking.
Do
I
you
think
measure? Sorry. Do you also measure recovery, for example?
yes.
Hmm.
Whoop is very good with recovery, and that's my main priority nowadays. I'm gonna be 40 very soon, 2 years, but I'm getting there. So my number one priority when it comes to exercise is recovery. So if I don't recover properly, I would rather skip the training than pushing too hard, because I know what does it mean pushing too hard for too
What
long.
is the average score that you have in recovery?
Nowadays I'm mostly in green, because my diet, all of my routines really support my sleep and all of these things, which also help me a lot to become green. We say in the team that how you can become green is that I took a food intolerance test.
Hmm.
So I took out most of the foods where I have any intolerance, which lowered my inflammation in the body. So I recover faster and I
Okay.
sleep better. And even if you don't change anything in your diet, you just remove those ingredients which are bad for you,
Mm.
the change will be noticeable.
And what are some changes that you did? Apart from this, so diet changes, apart from what you just mentioned that you have intolerance in, but are there any other diets that you've changed, for example, from meat to vegetables or proteins or carbs or whatever? And also, what other supplements do you take? Do you take like anti-aging, for example, supplements that help you
I
recover
need, I
better? Or
need. Soon I will be 40, so I have to. This is the right time,
yeah.
to start. Uh, yes. Regarding supplements, I take creatine.
Hmm.
That's the baseline. I also use protein powder just to make sure I hit my number of proteins. Diet wise, is the most difficult question. I tried everything, to be honest with you, and I went with all the trends,
Okay.
as you can imagine.
Keto,
Uh,
most probably.
I've been raw vegan for 2 years. I tried fasting. I still do some fasting. I went to keto. So, as you can imagine, and that's my main message, that everybody is different.
Mm.
So you need a trial and error session. Uh, what is the thing which really works for you and which is not? And I can notice on myself that maybe something really worked 10, 15 years ago, and today is just simply not working. So I have to change my diet, but which is the main direction. I use 80-20 Pareto kind of rule with
Okay.
dieting. Mm, I may be close to 90 nowadays, or 95, because I don't crave to eat shitty food. Uh, but to make sure that you are eating real food. I think that's the baseline. And hit your protein. That's my two main goal when it comes to diet. And I tried many things. In the beginning, I think keto can help you a lot to make sure you can achieve the metabolic flexibility.
Hmm.
So you have to really drastically lower down your carbohydrate intake to reteach to your body how to use fat and other sources effectively.
Yeah. And do you think food or maintaining a better balance on your work ethics help you reducing your stress levels as well?
I think it's difficult to pick only one thing, and that's why I like to use frameworks, and that's why I called my framework only internally. So there is no any promotion, or I don't have any intention to become a guru or something like that. Just sometimes it's good to give a name to the child. That if I would just focus on diet, but I would leave the rest of my things on the side, I won't be able to reduce my stress level that much. I know this not really fits with today's expectation, where everyone wants result one day without putting there any energy. I just
Yeah.
don't think there is one thing particularly. If you will focus on diet or your meditation only, those things, then on a long run you will be in balance.
There are different levels of stress, but there are also different types of stress, because some stress may be healthy for you. So it's like a healthy stress that pushes you to develop even further yourself, your company, your team, and everything in between. And then you have destructive stress, which is bad for your health. Maybe it gives you brain fog, or uh, it stops you of doing anything. Now, how do you spot the difference between a healthy stress and a destructive stress?
I think it's a great question. It's one of my favorite questions. First of all, I'm not a health professional.
Hmm.
I'm just sharing my own thoughts and my own
Yes, yeah,
experience. It's important to mention that.
yeah.
I don't think there is a difference between bad and good stress. There is just stress in general, because chemically and in your hormones, you are just reacting to good and bad stress on the same way. Adrenaline, cortisol will rise.
Hmm.
That's stress. In my view, if you are in balance and if you have the right framework and you pay attention to your health management in general, you can cope with the stress. And every stress will become a good stress. If not, every stress factor will affect you negatively. That's my own personal experience. That's why I don't take this good stress and bad stress debate, because that's what I experienced in the last couple of years. If I
I see.
have my energy and if I'm in balance, give me the word and I'm happy to climb the mountain. If not, man, you can put front of me the best deals in the world. I, I won't have any motivation to move and take action.
Yeah, true. And what are some of the mistakes that you see founders to repeat when it comes to resilience and stress management? So
They don't have any
you've
stress
talked to many
management.
founders. Sorry?
They don't have any stress management most of the time.
I don't, for example. So
It's a
yeah.
good conversation and nowadays. Uh, Again, burnout is very tricky.
Hmm.
You will notice it later on, and when you notice it, it's already too late. And that's why it's very, very tricky. So it's better. That's why I'm trying to change the framework in my company, because prevention is the most important action what you can take. And it's also an age thing. So I don't want to judge any young founders there out there, and climbing the mountain, because I did exactly the same. My motivation was different. My priorities were different.
Mm.
And even if I would look or watching this podcast 10, 15 years ago, I would still make the same mistake, to be honest with you, because I just wanted to become rich and successful and seen. So it's a difficult.
Sorry, you think you lost anything during this process? So since you shift and you now have like a 6-hour work week, do you think that makes you a better founder now, or you lost, I don't know, ambition, speed? Do you feel like you lost this?
Not at all. Actually, opposite.
Okay.
Actually, opposite, because I have more energy, and the the one of the biggest misconception when it comes to entrepreneurship is many of us coming from a corporate or work environment
Hmm.
where they pay you for exchanging your time for money. In entrepreneurship, no one really cares how long time does it take to become a successful and how much energy you will put in. It's a
Yeah.
result game. So, and having a good result, we all know it takes time and it needs a strong foundation, right? And if it takes time, then it really matters how you are maintaining your energy. So a lot of us trying to focus on time management, what I'm usually say, focus on your energy management,
Mm,
because
makes sense.
entrepreneurship, it's a not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
So you need energy all the time to to cope with all the operational, internal, external, family. So there is a lot of things where you need energy, and if you don't have, it will be very difficult to become successful.
And do you think the hustle culture is still useful, or should founders reject it?
It's an interesting question because I think it's also a cultural question, and this hustle stuff is coming from the United States, where the whole
But
setup.
also they have the biggest success stories in entrepreneurship.
Yes, but not because of the hustle.
I was watching a list yesterday from 21st biggest companies in the world. 19 are from US, one is from China, and one is from Taiwan.
Taiwan. Yeah, I know the data.
Yeah. So that means that they are successful in this, but at what costs, right?
I know that you also have a lot of US friends.
Yeah.
I do. It's culturally in their DNA, but the whole setup is also set up for being, in the hustle culture, having access to resources, and the only one measurement is that measurement. But in Europe, for example, we don't have the same setup. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure if we should follow the exact same blueprint. And if we try to, that, we're gonna end it up with a huge burnout, because here the resources are more difficult to get compared to the US, because most of the investors don't like to take risk compared to the US.
But also,
So
it's a very fragmented market and the
yes,
regulations, and it's not like
yes,
US that you have huge markets, same language, same culture,
absolutely,
same legal
absolutely.
frameworks, and
That's the reason
there are
why I'm
many
building.
factors. I mean, not only the hustle
Yes,
culture, but
yes. But in general, they also started to think that maybe this hustle culture is not the best approach to maintain a long-term success. So again, I'm not saying I'm not working hard and I'm not putting energy, and I'm not saying I don't want to look like a guy who is structuring everything. I have period in my life where I have to push the gas more. It's normal,
yeah.
which is important to maintain the balance. So when I have a lot of extra energy out, then I will pull back a little bit a couple of weeks later, and I try to maintain that energy. So the hustle culture in general is not designed for everyone, for every time, and for every period. So if we look at hustle culture as a cyclical thing, I agree. But to be in the hustle culture all the time when you are building your company on every level, because you are trying to basically have a competition with yourself, because many times there is no external pressure. We founders like to put pressure on ourselves, and we think all the eyes from the world is on us,
But if we don't put pressure in ourselves, then we don't push ourselves to achieve what we want to achieve, because nobody will put a deadline to you unless you put it to yourself.
Yeah, but that's coming from a system and from a framework. I don't think so. You have to have that pressure, because let's say innovation.
Yeah,
How do you create innovation? Are you creating innovation from pressure? I don't think.
I don't think
You,
so.
you are creating innovation, and you create things when your mind is calm. So you have enough space to bring new ideas to the table. So I think we misuse sometimes the hustle culture, and we should start with setting up the right systems and frameworks to be efficient in your work, and to make sure you have enough space to become creative and create something. Because if you all the time just in a hustle culture, you are not creating anything. And
Yeah.
entrepreneurship is creating new things and bringing new ideas, new perspectives to the table. And that's why many times I've seen big companies with big revenues as an external advisor in my advisory career. Do you think they organized? And they are not. Most of them, they could be 70% more efficient with less work, and having less work doesn't mean, less revenue, but they would have more space for creativity and finding new ideas to make money.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the conception that if you hustle, because you have to work hard to make money, but end of the day, if you work hard all the time, I always questioning your system and your operational framework.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think this is something that needs to be talked even more in schools or even accelerators or incubators. They need to teach founders how to better manage their health and mental resilience. So yeah, this is a very, very good topic that most often gets passed by founders. Me myself, for example, I've, as every startup founder, have dealt with high levels of stress, and it's a roller coaster basically. But I don't have a framework, and maybe I will implement some of your things after our conversation. But yeah, it's something that most often it just skips. Nobody talks about it. And entrepreneurship is a long journey. It's a marathon, as you said. It's not a sprint, and you need to take care of yourself because nobody else will for you.
Not at all. Not at all. Not even your investors, not even your colleagues, etc. So no, I totally agree with you. And don't take me wrong. I wanna become more successful financially, business wise, social wise. That's why I'm maintaining my energy. So I'm not here to work less. I want to be more efficient. So the reason why I'm setting up this framework, because I learned it in a hard way, that if I'm not maintaining my energy, it's going to be a very short sprint
Yeah.
and then a long rest, which was 2 years for me. And financially, it was a very bad outcome, not just because I had to reinvest my money into my health, but I was not able to create anything new.
Yeah.
New revenue sources, new businesses. I was completely lost. Depression, I gain weight, lack of motivation. So it's not a good idea to do that. And so if you
And I've
continuously on
seen this with
100%,
other friends of mine, for example, that are founders, and having an exit, it's not always the case. And that's a good scenario because you have money to invest back in your health. But in many cases, founders fail in their company and they don't have money, they don't have health, and they are totally lost. And that's I've seen that with friends of mine that they went through that phase, and it crashes your soul basically, and you need a very long time to get back to yourself.
a lot of people think that they burn out and then they lost their company, but actually it's opposite. Where they burn out first, and that's why they lost their company, not the other way around. And I think as an investor, you also should implement health as a KPI into your investment thesis because it's a risk.
Yeah.
And you should run a kind of I don't know, test or whatever it is to somehow identify the energy level of your future founder, because you build the company around the founder, especially in
In the
the
beginning.
seeding
Yeah.
and maybe Series A, especially seeding rounds. You don't invest in the concept; you are investing in the team and especially in the founder
Correct.
and the vision and everything else. So if they have bad health habits, you can map easily what's going to be the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally
So
agree.
I would really encourage, VCs and private equities, family offices, angel investors to implement health as a risk into the risk assessment when it comes to measuring the team for the future.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that founders have about stress?
That they don't have, or not they don't have, because they know they have, but they just feel that it's normal and this is how you build companies, and this is the environment which is coming from the entrepreneurship. but it's just a misconception. You should look at your system, your entire system. That's why I call it holistic system. And I think that's the biggest misconception, that you think that's normal. And it's
Yeah.
very dangerous when you say it's normal.
And you also started a new company now that basically implements health into it. You get rewards for steps. Can you elaborate a little bit more into that?
Yes, correct. So regarding that holistic framework, the first prototype will be our existing company, which called 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝘁𝗲, which is 7 positive impact. So positive impact for every day, where in the product, in the strategy, and in the company culture, I try to create the profit, social impact, and the health in the same time. So we are creating health step-based challenges for professional clubs and athletes to engage with their fans. And because of the steps, you will be able to get some financial rewards, also discounts. We call it health count. So in exchange, for example, there is a marketplace in the back. If you do a couple of steps, and it will be a shared experience, not an individual goal like the trackers. Because I also feel that in the era of AI, the personal interaction will be very, very important in the future. Yeah. So we try to recreate the previous world where we interacted with each other offline. And since steps, walking, saved my life when I burned out, so there was one tool which really helped me to come out from the burnout. I thought what walking could do with millions if it was able to help me to come out from the burnout. And with your financial reward, you will be also able to either redeem your financial reward or buy the product from Jersey, ticket, whatever it is.
I see.
Or you will be able to donate that discount or health count to a good cause, where we gamify the donation element. That's the social impact element, where we try to reward the users with better habits, and the cultural narrative. What we think and what we would like to change in the long term is that giving should be the new flex. So rather than just sharing on social media that I have a Rolex, I have a big biceps, which is cool, but in many cultures, giving is still a shame to show.
Yeah.
And I would love to see my feed, my social media feed, fill up with a lot of people who is giving and helping others, and we might have a better environment. So that's the product part. And the operational part for the team, what I mentioned, to working the shorter the working hours, it will be also implemented into our company culture. So that's the kind of first prototype in my framework. And rather than pitching it, I'm trying to build one and make sure it's stable financially and operationally and social impact wise. I'm not there is no guarantee it will be a huge success. What I can just guarantee that 100 years ago we are building companies in the same way, and I'm just trying to challenge the status quo. But what if I can build a company from scratch, making money, making sure there is a good social impact for the broader society, and not burning out? That's my kind of mission.
I hope you succeed in that mission. It's a very cool
Thank
mission.
you. Hopefully.
If you could tell your younger self as a founder, when you were founder earlier, one thing about health and resilience, what would it be?
Probably for my younger self, if I would say anything, I wouldn't even listen to myself. that's
Listen
the
to
first
this
thing.
podcast episode.
Yes. Make sure it's not too late to identify the burnout part. And back then, I would motivate myself with a financial feedback that, hey, you're not gonna make enough money if you will just simply burn out very, very soon. Because that was my kind of motivation. Listen, I'm coming from a very humbled background. So the money thing and showing myself like I can do that, it was a very important drive in my early career. Now,
Yeah.
of course, changed, but I know in that time that was my drive. And you don't have to listen other people who are in different stage of the life that it's not okay to just running after the money. You need that experience to realize it's not enough if you will just chase money. So probably I would motivate myself financially that if you take care of your health, you will make more money.
That's very, very good advice. What is a book, a tool, or a practice that you recommend every founder tries at least once?
Start walking. The
Okay.
easiest, the most accessible, the most underrated health activity out there is walking. That's why we are building a walking application. It's the easiest entry
I
point.
think I saw a post on LinkedIn. I think it was yours, but maybe I'm wrong. That running is actually bad for your health. It's not good. Walking is good for your health. Basically, it damages your knees. It damages your bones, and
You know,
it's not good.
ideally,
It has more negative outcomes than positive outcomes in the long term.
yeah, I learned about the concept and I read the book, which was written by a gentleman who was a long distance runner, Mark. And he came up with the idea of this that running is bad. I think you also have to put there more straightforward information that running is definitely better than doing anything, unless you are damaging your health, your knees, your muscles, your heart, because long distances. But which is true from a health point of view, that walking can affect positively your cardio, your heart, and it's not damaging your health in a way that running could. I'm not saying it would, I'm saying it could. So I also stopped running, distance running, but I do. So my zone 2 cardio right now or nowadays is either cycling.
Yeah.
That's what I usually do. But I do sprinting, which is still running, but for my VO2 max. But I'm not putting too much pressure to my system, for with a long run or long distance running. So that's why I thought walking is the easiest entry point for everyone, to become more healthier. And if I would be a
And
founder, I would just make sure I'm doing my
yeah,
steps.
and
That's the
what
founder.
is like the daily steps that you personally recommend? For example, 10,000 steps or 15,000 or 20,000?
There are these numbers, but self-discovery is the most important. You also have to know where you are today. Because if your daily step today is 2,000 and 3,000, and you will read the information that you must to take 10,000 steps, it's just too far from your daily
Yeah,
activity, and you will give up. So what I would generally say is to increase your step by
yeah.
step. Health is also a long journey, not a sprint. Uh, I usually depends if I have strength training, I do less steps. Why? Because I'm looking at my
Hmm.
recovery. So I don't want to overdo anything because it can affect my recovery badly. But which is more important than the number of steps is the number of times you are going out and walk. So it's better to go out 5-6 times, or having just even when I don't have time to go out often. Like usually I go out 2 or 3 times for a longer walk, which is half an hour, not more than that. But many times I have that 50 minutes and I'm walking in the house.
Yeah.
Or we are having walk talks. So we changed the meeting culture. So sometimes, especially if I have a lot of calls, I do walk talks. I just switch off my camera. I know my team, and now I'm gonna just walk around. So it's more important to walk frequently than just go out and do 10,000 steps in one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
because the blood flow and the hormones and everything, you need to continuously move throughout the day.
Do you also recommend standing desks?
I do. But again, it's really the whole setup which matters. I tried standing desks, but now I switched that. For example, it's personal. I can more focus on calls when I'm sitting. I know people who can more focus if they are standing.
Interesting, yeah.
So that's why I said, if I'm building the system for myself, the basic principle of building a system for you, you have to know yourself. That's why I'm trying many things. So I would encourage everyone to try out for a couple of weeks, measure and see how you feel. And if it works for you, just implement it. If not, just simply skip it. And that's why I have these 15 minutes breaks, because I need movement, to walk around, but I am more focused when I'm sitting.
Well, Matthias, thank you very much for shining a light to this very important topic, because health, you only notice it when you lose it, and you need to protect it.
True.
And for all the founders that are listening, know that building a company is a marathon. It's not a sprint. The healthier you are, the healthier the company will be. So keep an eye on your health. Thank you, Matthias.
It was my absolute pleasure. Thank you for the invitation, and I hope we encourage some folks out there to measure their health as a business KPI.
Thank you.
Thank you.